Ciao, buongiorno, everyone. Tutti, I think they say. Buongiorno tutti. I only support Italy for the football, so I don't know much Italian. But anyway, just going to check I'm on Facebook. And I am. It's quite quick. Anyway, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Welcome to part 2 of my plans for Italy to unite, Italians to unite through football. Hope you enjoy it. And as ever, please let me know what you think. I've got this drink. I had to try and check it doesn't have alcohol in it because I don't drink alcohol. But what do they say? I don't drink alcohol. To take it literally. But anyway, it is funny enough. It is Italian sparkling drink. It tastes okay, but I thought symbolically I'd drink that because I'm talking about Italy and Italian football. But as I say, I only support Italy in and for the football. And guys, please be honest with me. I'd like to in the comment section. I'd like you to vote on glasses on or glasses off, glasses off or glasses on. Please vote in the comment section. I do find it a bit uncomfortable, but I'd love to know whether you think they look nice or not. But as I said in part 1, I do struggle to clean them. I think I meant to ask that in part 1, but anyway. Yeah, it took me a while to get around to this because I keep oversleeping and procrastinating and getting distracted or whatever. But yeah, I did want to focus. Also, I'd love to do stuff on St. Patrick's Day as well, like Irish empowerment, like supporting Irish businesses and the tourism industry and things like that. But I'll probably try and get around to that tomorrow, Thursday or whatever, or ASAP. But technically, it won't be St. Patrick's Day anymore. But I sometimes joke I'm dyslexic. I need extra time. But anyway, these are pointers number 11 to 20. So again, please let me know in the comments. And I'll try and whichever one gets the most votes. If people do comment glasses on or glasses off, I'll do that in the future videos. So as much as possible. But anyway, these are pointers number 11 to 20. As I say. So here goes. So number 11, I'd love to see what Italian football can do to change, to improve. What improvements it could do. I'd love to see, for instance, Italian football become more attacking. And I think when Italian football has become successful, it's normally, like I think in '82, the year I was born, and 2006, it was more attack-minded. So I'd love to see Italian football become more attacking. But I'd love to see what they could do, like what they could learn from England, the EPL in terms of marketing, and also what they could learn from Spain, France, England, Germany, Argentina, Brazil, and other countries, especially on like youth development and things like that, or whatever would benefit Italian football. And on that note, I'd love to know in the comments how you would benefit Italian football, what you think of Italian football, how you would benefit Italian football, and how you think Italians can unite over football. I think that covers everything for point number 11. So I'm going to move on to point number 12. And though I talked about change and what Italian football could do to change and improve, I'd love to see how they can also look back at the culture and the traditions and culture/tradition and history, and like learn from it and think about how Italian teams have succeeded, and also other countries, I say, but also historical Italian teams like the 2006 team 20 years ago. And I'd love to see Italy win the World Cup 20 years later. I mean, I wanted to see them win before, of course, but it wasn't to be. But it would be probably quite fitting if they could go through a playoff and go from the underdogs. Technically, historically, it's not the underdog team, but at the moment, Italy unfortunately has failed to qualify for the World Cup a couple of times. But I hope it can change. My fear is it won't change quickly as quickly as I'd like. As I said before, I'd love for it to happen yesterday or yesteryear, so to speak. But I'd love to see it change ASAP and improve. And I'd love for former Italian footballers to go into schools and to coach park teams and school teams and do assemblies and talks and make the footballers into heroes, and maybe even make games, video games, working with African nations to make video games, or Africans to make video games, including migrants to make video games for Italian football, to make footballers into heroes, and where you get to play as Italian teams and help them to win trophies, especially a national team and things like that. But yeah, I'd love to see footballers going into schools and doing talks about improving diets, practicing good behaviour and things like that, to make footballers into heroes. So as other countries go to war or whatever, I'd love for Italy to be peaceful, peace-loving, and focus on winning trophies. And even in football itself, like if someone kicks you or pushes you or whatever, the best revenge is success, as they say. So I think instead of punching them back or kicking them back, you try and go out and win. I often find it strange in football when, a sort of side note, when people say like you should get, I suppose in a way you should get stuck in, but in the past you could tackle more. Basically, I sometimes say you could tackle back in the day, but technically you can still tackle, but not as hardly as in the past. So, but yeah, I mean, people like Roy Keane, people like say, probably enough, as St. Patrick's Day as well, for an Irish representation, but or players in the past generally, often, or even nowadays, say like you got to get stuck in and all that kind of thing. But I have to think like you give away yellow cards and things like that, and you could get sent off. So maybe sometimes even like winding up members of the opposition, dark arts of football, and getting them bookings and even getting them sent off and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to, as I say, I'd love to see footballers going into schools and doing talks and Italian sharing ideas on how to improve football. Footballers mentoring and coaching, being role models for mentoring, being role models for teaching, training, and just generally coaching others. And also, I'd love to, I almost forgot to say this point before I move on to point 13, I'd love to travel to Italy, as I mentioned before as well, and share ideas on how to improve Italian football as a neurodivergent creative. Moving on to number 13, I thought I'd talk about some of my fears. Now, on Friday the 13th, I did want to talk about my fears. For this month, I specifically wanted to talk. Normally, I'd like to do like reactions on scary videos or things like that from YouTube or Entry or TikTok. But this time, I wanted to talk about for March, as I think of like Italy's unification and Italy playing a big qualifier, which I meant to check out, and I forgot to check out this time. But I'm sure I checked it out before, and it was the 26th, or it is the 26th, when Italy plays against Northern Ireland, which is a massive game. I suppose you could say it's one of the biggest games in our history because it could either mean that we fail to qualify for the third time in a row, or it could be a turning point. Hopefully the latter. But my fears are like on that note, like Italy Italy failing to qualify for the World Cup. So yeah, I wanted to say on the 13th, Friday the 13th, I wanted to do my usual 4-part list videos, but specifically on my biggest fears for football. I know people might say it's a first world problem, but I think it's important to have something you are passionate about and focus on in life that gives you a hobby and something, not just like going to work or whatever, but or in my case, not even going to work, but something you're passionate about. I guess I'd love to know what you think about that. But yeah, I'd love to know. Do you think I'm overreacting in terms of football? But for me, it's really important, and it's something to work towards. And again, you could call it a first world problem, so to speak, with all the problems going on in the world, which I forgot to mention. I hope there's a peaceful solution. But yeah, my fears are that there's not going to be, and obviously that's a worrying situation. But yeah, on Friday the 13th, I was going to make a usual 4-part list video where I was going to talk about like my fears about Italy not qualifying and Italy not winning the most World Cups, things like that. Even because for me, the whole point to qualify would be to go all the way and like turn things around and actually go on to win it, which would be hard to see. I win the whole damn thing. But yeah, my fears about the Italian national team never getting to the top, and Italian club teams never getting back to the top, and like even if change is made, it's taking a long time. Whereas I say I'm not the most patient, but I'd love to see the Italian national team winning the most World Cups, and I'd love to see Italian club teams winning in Europe and internationally. I also have fears for Celtic as well, but I'll say hopefully they won't come true. So I suppose I could talk about my nightmare vision. So tomorrow at 1300 hours, so hopefully between about 1 and 2, I hope to talk about how to do part 1 of my fears for football generally, especially for Italian football and also Celtic, or in particular Italian football and Celtic, and also part 2 I hope to do on Thursday at 1 p.m. between 1 and 2 around that time, or ideally, and then on Friday part 3, and then hopefully on Saturday part 4 of that, so spread over time. But I did want to do it on Friday, but I got a bit lazy and demotivated. I'm normally a bit lazy anyway. But moving on to number 14, I hope Italian football can find solutions to its own problems and improve, as I say. And also, as I said in part 1, like working together with FIFA and UEFA to see how football could be used to solve problems, whether that's climate change, global warming, wars, illnesses, diseases, natural disasters. I suppose that's like global warming perhaps or whatever. But but yeah, or whatever problems facing the world, like solving problems through football, like fundraising games, bringing people together through football, dialogue, diplomacy, and things like that, which I hope to talk about more in part 3. But yeah, solving problems and that kind of thing, and also looking at how Italy can solve its problems, how it can increase investment, how it can learn, how it can tackle its bureaucracy and things like that, and all that kind of stuff. And moving on to number 15, one of the things I wanted to do today, but I don't think I'm going to get around to because I overslept as usual and things like that, but is I wanted to write a letter on, and I do struggle with punctuation, but I was hoping to write to Giorgio Meloni on Facebook, and also the FIGC, the Italian FA, and Serie A, and different Italian football organisations, but I may well do that tomorrow, or ASAP again. Hopefully I'll get around to it tonight, but it is quite late, so see how it goes. Time is not a friend, time is not too kind of me, but I wish I had more energy and enthusiasm and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to see what could be done to improve Italian football. My biggest goals and dreams for Italian football, I'm not talking about it before, but I'll mention it again, is see Italy win the most World Cups and Italian club teams to win the most European or international trophies. So I'd love to see an improvement on Italian football, to be known as the best nation, both at club and country level in the world in football. I know Italy hosted the Olympics recently, but as I said, I only support Italy in and for the football and that kind of thing. So yeah, look at how to get investment and opportunities for Italians to play and practice and learn. And number 16, I love for Italian football to have a committee, think tank, brainstorm, cooperative network, or whatever you want to call it. As it's a Tuesday, I'll probably say think tank due to my use of alliterations, which could look into all the things that could benefit Italian football, whether that's increasing its marketing and brand value, bringing in money, helping them to coach, practice, get teaching and training, what it can learn from other nations, what it can learn from its own history, and just generally whatever would benefit Italian football. Like I love for Italians to share ideas and to work with the diaspora, which I could cover more in parts 3 and 4, especially in part 3, hopefully. But yeah, I'd love to see I'd love for Italian players and teams and coaches and whatnot to come together every year. I know this will be a bit of a challenge because they're sort of rivals in many ways, or many of them are rivals, but I'd love for all those involved in Italian football to come together and discuss how to improve it, like how to improve investment, what coaching methods could improve the national team, how to develop more younger players. Like I'd love to see at least 3 younger players playing all senior games and older players to help younger players practice, and to get the balance right between like child protection, safeguarding, and that kind of thing, and at the same time giving young people opportunities to play and practice. Number 17. I find it hard to sort of envisage it or picture it, but I'd love to. Obviously, you can probably tell I use my imaginations a lot, so I'd love to see, as I imagine Italian soccer, football, Calcio, or whatever you want to call it, getting back to the top of world football, hopefully, again at club and country level. So I'd love to see imaginative and creative ideas. I talked about like if they could use body language and hand signs to, a bit like the Freemasons. But on a serious note, like to use hand signs like before a game, if they know what each other's going to do, as long as your teammates know, I guess, generally speaking, and like they plan things along. But also take a few risks and be creative. Like sometimes trying to run at players. Sometimes they envy teams like Spain or England or France, which have players that run at players. I'd love to see Italy have more players who could do that, but also hopefully have an end product. But I'd love to see them like have trial and error and see how Italy could make or create or produce, as I put it, the next world's best players, the next Ronaldinho, Messi, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Pele, Maradona, and players like that, how they could be produced, created, made, or whatever you want to put it, in Italy. Like working with Serie A and like made in Italy, that kind of thing. And so I think that means like coaches, especially at youth level, need to give players an opportunity to play and practice and make mistakes, have trial and error and that kind of thing, and not chastise them too much. That's a big word for me. If they make mistakes, moving on, as I say, it'd be hard to imagine, but I'd love to see the next Messi, Ronaldo, Maradona, Pele, Zidane, Zizou, and players like that, Zlatan and people like that being included, being produced, created, made, or whatever in Italy, so to speak. And that could include migrants as well, and that kind of thing. Like France has benefited from migration and that kind of thing as well. So having a wider pool of talent that can be included through football. I know people might say that. I just want to say finish on this point before I move on to point 18. I know people might say it's like stereotyping black people or people from Africa as being athletic or whatever, but I think it'd be a good way for them to integrate through football and be integrated through football. Number 18, I do struggle to be optimistic. I was going to say a bit earlier, I try not to get too excitable about things because I think, what if I get disappointed? What if I get excited about something and build myself up and then get disappointed? But yeah, I'm an excitable character, you could say, I guess. A bit like talent, maybe. But yeah, I'd like to be positive. But on that note, if you have any tips on how I can be positive and how Italian football can be more positive and attacking and things like that, how it can improve, please let me know in the comments, either on Facebook, YouTube, and preferably both. I'm sure preferably both. Number 19, I'd love to see how Italian football can benefit by fundraising for STEM development across developing nations. And number 20, I'd love to see how, as I say, football can be used to make peace and have the right balance between having younger and older players. And on that note, peace and love, and I'm out.